Hey guys, it's Tiger again. Alright, so, last I was talking to you guys about, I was seeing, like, my 6th workman comp doctor. The reason why I say workman comp is because, my case had been won. My attorney won my case, and, it was one of those things that, after we won the case, workman's comp was then responsible to take care of my pay and my medical and my medicine, everything, until the time that I was basically released from medical care by a physician, and conveniently one of their physicians. So, this doctor that I was seeing at the time, he was doing some good stuff for me. We had heard that he was actually one of the doctors that people really, really didn't like to work with, but we actually found that we were okay with him. He worked with us, and I don't know if that has something to do with the fact that on our very first visit, my husband sat in front of the door until all of our questions were answered. I think some of it has to do with that, just maybe that he knew that we weren't going to give up, and that we weren't going to stop looking for answers, and we weren't going to stop trying. So one of the next things that he recommended was, he said maybe I had some stuff going on neurologically, and so he recommended that I actually see a neurologist, but he said that he would not recommend any of the neurologists in Nevada, where I'm living. And so it was kind of hard because workman's comp was paying for everything. I had to go to whoever they said I had to go to, whoever was on their list, whoever was one of the providers. But the doctor who I was seeing said, there aren't any neurologists in town that I would recommend you go to. And I think he was basically saying, this is a workman's comp thing, and you're not going to get an honest opinion, by whether it's a neurologist, whether it's whatever profession, that it would be hard to find someone who would do their job when it came to my case. And it was really, really hard because at this point I knew that there was something going on. Not only by the fact that I was going and I had pool therapy, I had to have somebody stand on both sides of me because I couldn't hold myself up in the pool. I had to have a floaty around me, and it was kind of interesting because one of my therapists actually, I kind of told her a little bit what was going on, and she said, that doesn't make much sense. She's like, she had just gotten a patient who had convergence disorder, and it was diagnosed and confirmed, kind of like they were trying to do with mine. But hers, she had actually been to a psychiatrist, a psychologist that had been officially diagnosed as convergence disorder. And she says, you guys are so different in the way you behave, If I ask her to move her, her arm, she says, oh, I can't move this part of my arm. But then when she's doing something else, she moves that part of her arm. She says, Kim, it doesn't matter what we tell you to do. You know, if you are working on something else, you don't move your legs. Your legs don't move, they just don't. And again, there are other characteristics and things that were different, me and this other patient who, like I said, had officially, even via a psychiatrist, had been diagnosed. I just can't imagine how difficult that must have been. I guess I can. I was kind of diagnosed with that condition, and I didn't think I had it. You know, um, so I had to go to a neurologist. And so I was going to go and see a workman's comp neurologist. And so my husband and we came in with the same questions, with the same intent to sit down and ask our questions until this doctor answered our questions. And we sat down with her and we started asking her questions. And she was honestly the very, very first person who actually took the CT myelograms and she looked at them. She was the very, very first doctor to actually look at the films. Now, everybody up until this point had looked at the radiologist report, and she looked at the films. And when we started asking her questions, she got really, really defensive. And she's like, well, I'm not going to answer any more of your questions unless I'm legally deposed to do so. And so unless you were legally required, she was not going to answer any more of my questions. And that's what she actually and that's what she told me. And then she says, like I said, we were talking about neurological stuff. And then in the middle of us talking about neurological stuff, she chimes in with this, well, if you have any concerns about the hardware, and your operation, you're going to have to talk to the original surgeon who did your surgery. And my husband and I were looking at each other and we're like, what is she talking about? We're talking about these neurological tests that you're trying to run on me. She wanted to run another. She wanted to run another EEG. The one where they stick those great needles into you. They're longer than that, just so you guys know. Where they stick the needles into you and then they jolt you, they shock you to try and get a reaction out of you. And they're very, very based on the doctor's personal opinion about what she or he sees and their observation. So it's very subjective test. But then they wanted to do a brain scan on me. A brain scan. They said that they would be able to confirm with a brain scan and an EEG whether I had this psychological condition. Yeah. And, that if they were the same or if they were different, that would confirm that I had the psychological condition. And so it's like, it was really hard because I did not, at the time, I really, really did not want to incriminate myself, by having these tests done, especially where one was so not based off of fact. It was based off of her observation. It was totally, what she saw, what she felt, what she personally experienced, and where we had questioned, the doctors that we had seen, because here I am floating in a pool. I can't even hold myself up. And, we were just very, very, very to have those tests done. And then especially when she broke in with the stuff that she wasn't going to answer any more of my questions unless you were legally, supposed to do so. And we thought that was just a little weird, And so at the same time, it was kind of interesting because I had an attorney, who was helping me on my case. And I just really, really felt like he gave up on me. He did. Now, mine was not the easiest case at all by any means. 5 years is a long time for a case. But when you've got an attorney who, and don't get me wrong, I can't really blame him completely, because he had been getting all of the notes, all of the records from the doctor visits that I had been to, and all he was getting back was, here we are, we're medical professionals, and we're telling you, your client is, no, crazy. Let's say it. Let's call it what it is. You know, that your client, there's nothing wrong with her physically, that she has got this condition. My attorney gave up on me. It was really frustrating. You know, to my face, he got to the point where he was just rude. His assistant was rude, and everybody was just trying to get rid of me, and they couldn't get rid of me. You know, and what they didn't realize was my life had basically stopped. I was in bed pretty much 24, no, I was in bed 24 hours a day. I had nothing to do but to go on. I had no choice. I had to go on. I had to keep moving. I had to keep trying. And they wanted to get rid of me so badly that they could hardly even see straight. But I hung in there, I stuck in there. And this next video, I'm going to kind of reveal the whodunit, what my problem really ended up being, and what ended up happening. So,